Hello and welcome back to Freedom Tech Friday, a weekly live and interactive show hosted on the Ungovernable Misfits feeds. We go live for 1 hour every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. UK time, but you can, of course, catch up on the Ungovernable Misfits podcast feed after the fact. On Freedom Tech Friday, we like to cover the latest news and trends for anything relating to freedom technologies. That could be anything from Bitcoin or Monero, encrypted messengers, privacy tools, and everything in between. Essentially, if there's a news item, tool, or topic that can help you take back some control in today's digital panopticon, then we want to talk about it. My name's Q&A, and I'm head of customer experience at Foundation, where we build Bitcoin-focused sovereignty tools. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend Max, the head honcho of the Ungovernable Empire, and Seth, who is COO over at Cake Wallet. Freedom Tech Friday is a live and interactive show, and you can help steer the conversation by commenting live, pre-submitting your questions or topics on socials, boosting the show via Podcasting 2.0 apps, sending in your tips, or just sharing the show with your friends. Top support from the last show with Crypto Squid from the Start9 team comes from Welder Ian, who sent 2,222 sats and said, "Keep up the great work, Start9 team." Thank you for your support, Ian. Hope you are well. Without further ado, let's dive into the show. Max, Seth, how are you both doing?
I am doing. I'm here. I'm not Claude. I'm not a fake version of myself. OpenClaw failed me. I give up. We'll chat about that another week. But nope, only real Seths out there. Only real Seths.
Very good. I'm also far from an OpenClaw. I can't even work out how to do this chat window now that we've gone live queue. It's the one thing you've ever asked me to do, and I failed you already. Where's it gone?
Just in the very right side panel, just click chat. It's under notes and QR codes.
There we are. Okay.
And then if you want to bring anybody, you just click
on it.
Comment like that. I've just brought up Bon. Good morning, Bon.
Bon. Good morning, Bon.
Are you well, Max?
Very well. Fiat life is beating me with a hammer at the moment, but I'm building a bigger hammer and I'm going to beat it back.
I feel like we all sound a bit dejected and run down this week. It sounds like we've all had weeks.
Yeah, we're getting old as well, old and miserable. So,
hey, speak for yourself. I'm young. I'm cool.
I'm cool. Yeah, I think we're all a bit worn out, but I am looking forward to seeing what you're going to show us today, and it's part of the reason you're worn out. So I'm sure you can do this demo in your sleep at this point.
Yeah, so no guest this week. Something a little bit different. If you're listening with your ear holes rather than watching with your eye holes, I would urge you to maybe head to YouTube or click view the video on Fountain, because this one's going to be a lot of visual stuff. Obviously, I'll be talking over the top, but yeah, earlier this week over at Foundation, I ran week 2 of our Primetime Office Hours series, where I am taking customers through all aspects of Passport Prime. Week 2 that just happened on Tuesday was onboarding and recovery. And I also do a bit of a deep dive on the concept of magic backups at the top of the show. So I thought, rather than it just be for those people that managed to join live or catch it up on YouTube, I thought it's very applicable to the Freedom Tech Friday audience as well. So I thought, why not? I didn't want to waste all my efforts, so let's milk this one. And I want to reuse the content because I think it is useful, and allows me to tell everybody what the hell I've been working on, or me and the team have been working on for the past 2 or 3 years, and why I intermittently sound very stressed and very tired. So I'll kick it off with, hopefully sharing my screen. Let me know when you see it, guys. Should be up now.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, so Max, Seth, feel free to jump in at any point. I won't be watching the questions as I normally do, because I'll be concentrating a little bit more. So feel free to jump in and stop me if you have any questions. But the plan is I'm going to run you through some slides that mainly centered around what magic backups are to set the scene, and then I'm going to bring up my camera and go through a Passport Prime onboarding so you can see what that looks like live in action and see how easy it is. So yeah, as I said, Primetime is are 6 weekly office hours style interactive sessions that you can join free of charge and catch up on the Foundation YouTube after the fact. If this is the first time that you're discovering it, you've already missed the first 2 weeks, but keep an eye on the Foundation socials and you'll be able to join live for the subsequent weeks. We are covering over the course of the 6 weeks. Week 1 was just welcome to Prime, mainly theory, just talking about what Prime is, how to position it, and what the goals of the are. Week 2, which is the recap that I'm doing today, is onboarding and recovery. Weeks 3 to 5, I'm going to be covering all of the different apps, the Bitcoin app, the keys and the 2FA apps, the files and the Vault apps. And then in week 6, we're going to be looking at what is next. So before we get started, for those that are unfamiliar, it's worth highlighting what you actually get in the box with Passport Prime. Obviously, the device itself, you are going to get the 3 NFC key cards, which come in their own Faraday sleeves, and you'll see me using those on the stream shortly. There'll be a warranty booklet and a USB-C cable for charging or for using the device with any USB functionality, such as file transfers or security keys like FIDO, like those FIDO 2 keys, security keys you can use to log into your online accounts. Excuse me. So yeah, what I'm going to showcase today is the onboarding showcase. I'm not going to labor it too much and go through it bit, but every piece, because you're going to see me do it. But here's what I'm going to be covering. I'm doing a firmware update because my device is already up to date, so there is no further updates available. But you'll see me go through the entire onboarding process, right from factory fresh all the way to getting connected to Passport, to Envoy, excuse me, where we're going to create the magic backups. We're going to connect the accounts, and I give you a brief tour of the user interface as well, so that you can get some device orientation and see what it looks like once you've set it up. After that, I will showcase a recovery as well, because this is one of the shining part of the architecture, really. You'll see me do the 2 of 3 Shamir style backup, which I'm going to dive into in a second.
That bit with the cards.
Exactly, yeah. So you'll see me create them, which is great in itself, and it's much easier than writing down seed words. But it's only half the picture, really, because when it really shines is when you're able to recover all of your security keys, all of your 2FA keys, all of your Bitcoin accounts, all of your additional seeds, if you've got them added in there, simply by going through the onboarding and tapping one card. When you see it, it really does put the magic into magic backups. So hopefully, if I don't dwell too much on the finer details during the slide part of it, I'll have time to showcase that for you as well. All right, so magic backups. I want to do a bit of theory here just to set the scene, because as I say, this is one of the shining parts of the architecture. Passport Prime consists of 2 main parts. You've got the master key. More advanced users, you can just think of this as the primary secret that anchors everything on Passport Prime. It's represented in a multitude of different ways. Obviously, the most common one in the Bitcoin sphere is seed words. The master key is just another term for that, and we back that up in a multitude of different ways. Again, I'm going to demonstrate that shortly. And then the second part of magic backups is the settings and data backup. What you can look at this as basically is an encrypted file that contains everything else apart from the master key, and it is encrypted by the master key. So you need one to access the other, but they are 2 distinct pieces of information or things that you need to look after and consider. Thankfully, if you use magic backups, it's made very simple, and most of it is managed for you. So the first part, the master key, as part of the default onboarding, we split that in a 2 of 3 Shamir style split, where, for those of you that are unfamiliar with a Shamir split, it's sometimes called Shamir secret sharing. It's basically where you can split a secret into a number of pieces. It doesn't have to be 3. That's just the method that we've chosen. And then once you've split all of those pieces, you only need a certain threshold of them. In our case, it's 2, to be able to recover the entire secret. Some people like to call it multi-sig for your seed, which, I can get why they say that. And, I probably won't lean into that too much because it can get confusing, but you have 3 pieces. You need 2 of them to recover your master key. By default, we ship you with 3 cards. We're going to use 2 of them as part of today's onboarding. So we put one part on one card, another part on the second card, and then the third part is sent to Envoy over the Quantum Link Bluetooth connection. Again, I'm going to demonstrate that shortly. And that is then automatically backed up in an encrypted fashion to your personal cloud. So if you're an Apple user, it goes to your iCloud keychain. And if you are a Google user, it goes to your Android Auto backup. It's stored in both instances in a part of your kind of cloud storage that isn't kind of readily accessible. So you can't like log into your iCloud drive and just see Envoy Shamir split. It doesn't work like that. It's just part of a hidden construct within your account.
You call it a blob from memory, some sort of
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and it's just an encrypted piece of data basically that's tied to your iCloud account. So as I say, you need any two of those to recover. So if you lose one key card, you're fine. You can just use the other key card on Envoy if you need to recover. If you lose your phone, again, you're still fine because you can use the two key cards to recover. On to the second part of Magic Backups, again, which is the settings and data. This can be your app settings, all of the customizations that you make to the device. So if you have multiple Bitcoin accounts, you give them different names, all of the different app data. So your 2FA code, your security keys, all of that is stored in an encrypted file or blob, as you said, Max. And that, again, thanks to the Quantum Link connection, gets automatically sent up to the Foundation server. It is then updated automatically as you just naturally use the device. Couple of key points here. The data is encrypted by your master key. So although it is stored on the Foundation server by default, we cannot access it, we cannot decrypt it. And the other thing to drive home here is that there's no personal information on that server. So we don't have, an encrypted data with Seth's name next to it and another one with Max's name next to it. What we have is a cryptographic hash and an associated blob. If you can confirm to the server by providing the right hash, and you can only do that with the master key, then you can retrieve and download the encrypted data and decrypt it locally on your device. If you can't do that, you can't access the data on the server. So that's how we build that in such a way that, number one, no personal information, and number two, we can't access it.
And even if someone was able to somehow get that hash, like captured in flight or whatever, they can't actually decrypt the blob unless they have the seed
you still
itself.
need the master key, right? Yeah. Absolutely correct. Yeah. All right, so this is a bit of a busier slide, but it's worth walking through because it shows you all of the pieces. So if we start in the middle, Passport Prime, this is where your master key is generated as part of the onboarding, and it's where it lives in active use under normal day-to-day operations. Obviously, we have a secure element, and it's split between that and the MCU, the main controller on the device. So it's secure whilst it's on the device as well. And everything else on this slide flows out from that central point, essentially. So if you look to the right, your master key this is where your master key goes as part of the backup process, split into three parts, two on the physical key cards and one stored in Envoy, encrypted and automatically backed up to your chosen cloud account. So the master key exists on Prime, but it's backed up in a distributed fashion across those three locations. On the left-hand side, you've got the settings and app data backup file. This is the other half of the Magic Backups, and it's bundled, containing all the stuff I mentioned earlier. App data, labels, account names, device settings, all that good stuff. It's encrypted by your master key and stored on the Foundation server alongside that hash. If you don't have the master key, you cannot access and download and decrypt the data that's stored on the server. That is inclusive of us at Foundation as well. So when recovery happens, Prime reconstructs the master key from any two of the parts on the right-hand side. It sends the hash of that master key to the Foundation server as a form of authentication that you are in control of the master key. And that then is enough to allow you to download the encrypted data. And then once it's all together on Prime, it gets decrypted. And the end result for you as the user is that the Prime that you just recovered on looks exactly the same as the Prime where you created your most recent backup. So if you've ever, moved from one iPhone to another iPhone and you've done that kind of scanning the weird orb thing, this is basically our version of that. So the end result is that your new iPhone looks the same as your old iPhone. It's the same way. We just store the data in different ways.
What might someone do if they were, say, using graphene, or they didn't have Apple or Google backup thing? Like, could they do that in a different way, or is it just it has to be Google or Apple? Like, could they use Proton or some other way of doing it?
It's untested at the moment. In theory, they could, but it wouldn't happen in anywhere near as much of a seamless way as I've just described.
Sure. No,
But yes, it's possible. I will say tread carefully. It's untested at this stage,
Yeah.
so don't do some rigorous testing in terms of backup and recovery if you do want to go down that route.
I only ask because just a lot of people who listen to this show probably don't actually use either of those options, and I just wondered.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to demonstrate the magic onboarding because it's where we envisage most of our users going. But you can completely do this in a offline self-sovereign manner. That's why we ship with 3 key cards, not just 2.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to use any of this like magic cloud server encryption and stuff, what you can do is turn that off during onboarding. And when I get there on the stream, I'll show you. You can turn that off. What that means then is that nothing gets sent over to Envoy. You just split the 3 over the 3 key cards instead of 2 key cards plus Envoy. So you just store the 3 key cards offline. And then you're solely responsible for backing up that settings and data backup file, which you can just download as often as you like, once a day, once a month, once a year from the settings of the device, and then go and store that wherever you want. Could be Proton drive, could be an SSD, could be an SD card. Like, so none of this is mandatory. You can do it all completely offline if you want.
And that would just mean that, say you forgot to do the backup, it doesn't mean you don't have access to your funds. It just means you wouldn't have your labels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that becomes more important with a device like Passport Prime because the idea is you're storing much more than just labels. It's going to be 2FA codes, security keys, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, true.
So just to reiterate some important points here, we don't have any personal information on you and to be able to tie you to your specific backups. We cannot access any encrypted data that's stored on our server as part of the Magic backups. I haven't mentioned seed words at all yet, but if you do want to make an additional form of backup as well as the key cards, you can just pull out the seed words from the settings whenever you want. Offline backups I've just spoken about and how you can achieve that. And then from the next major release, the screen that you can see there is a backups menu from the Passport Prime settings. Soon you'll be able to just toggle that Magic Backups button on or off. Right now it's a little bit more guided. So if you want to go from a non-Magic user to a Magic user, it would require a device erase. But soon you'll just be able to turn it on and turn it off, and it will just automatically either stop sending stuff to the cloud if you turn it off, or start sending stuff encrypted to the cloud if you turn it on. Okay, right. Let me see if my camera's going to work. I'm just going to stop the screen share and turn that on. Beautiful. All right. So let me see if I can make myself full screen so that you can see. There we go. Is that full screen for you guys?
Yep. Yeah, you might want to shift the chat out of screen.
Oh yeah. My assistant producer's slow on that one. There we go. How's that?
Perfect. It is very low quality for me. I don't know if there's anything you can do to increase that, but
Max, how's it looking for you? It says it's in 720p, but maybe it's lying. Oh, hang on. High definition. Let me try that.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I was going to say.
didn't
Not
change it all
really.
for me.
It's the pixelation. It's very low quality. Not your presentation. That's extremely high quality, mate. We'd never say that about you. But the actual image is low.
Yeah, in the settings, I've got auto, high def, or standard def, and it's in high def.
Maybe like try and refocus the camera. Can you? Or
I don't think it's that. It's the stream. Yeah.
I think it's the stream that's crippling it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not a lot we can do about that then, is there?
Not while we're live on air.
It just got a bit better there, slightly.
Really?
For me.
Okay.
It comes and goes.
Yeah, it's gone again. You'll have to say as you press, like up in that top right corner of the phone, I can see advanced, but I can only see it half the time, like what it actually says. So
right.
maybe as you click through.
Yeah, just let me kill my tail scale just to see if that's doing anything. I may blush.
No, I can
Yeah, you're
see.
still here.
Is it any better? Oh,
Not
Nope.
yet. No.
Only thing I can think of is maybe your network's not good enough for it and it's freaking out. But
I mean, I do live in a third world country, so it probably is that.
It's so true. Yeah, it's still the same, mate. It's not like unworkably bad. It's just not. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Have all your other streams been fine then? You haven't had any problems?
Yeah, no, the other ones, it's got to be something to do with Restream, because I did the exact same setup within our local like virtual office, and I didn't get any complaints there. So
Untraceable says it's good enough.
Go on.
All right, thanks, Untraceable.
I'm gonna make it prime the primary focus. I know it's chopping some of the phone off, but maybe that'll help a little bit. All right. So apologies for the quality, guys. I'm not sure what's going on, but okay. So here's the factory fresh setup. We've got a Passport Prime on the left, Envoy on the right. To go through the setup process, I'm going to choose set up a passport device. It's going to ask for camera permissions, and then it wants to scan a QR code. On Passport Prime, I tap get started, and then I just scan that QR code. It's going to do a quick connection via, I call it naive Bluetooth. And then the next step is to secure that into the Quantum Link encrypted tunnel. Very simple. You just tap connect with Quantum Link. It's going to pop up with the accessory sheet for your OS. I'm demonstrating on iOS. Android will have a very similar thing. It basically just says, do you want to add this device to your Bluetooth accessory list? You just press setup and then done. Envoy then heads straight back to the camera because it wants to scan another QR code. And you'll have seen on the left that Passport Prime automatically started showing some animated QR codes to establish the encrypted tunnel. So same again, just scan the QR codes. This one takes a little bit longer. Obviously, there's some animated QR codes there. So there's a little bit more information to pass back and forth. Once it's scanned, you'll see that both devices start to move forward on their own. The connection has been established. The security check has been automated and it is passed. So this is, again, just like with Passport Core, we do a security check to check that there has been no tampering of the device after it leaves our factory and before it gets to you guys. And then the next one would be it checks for a firmware update. As I mentioned at the top of the call, obviously, I know that this device is already up to date. If there was an update available, the screen on Passport Prime would just say update now. You hit the button and it all happens automatically. The whole process takes like 2 minutes tops. And then you will come back to this screen and it will say update applied. And then you just tap continue on Passport Prime. Then we're going to set a pin for the device. Again, I'm not going to label the pin. The Freedom Tech Friday audience knows what a pin is for. 6 to 12 digits, or you can switch to a password if you want to. I'm going to set something super secure here, so please don't hack me. You'll be asked to verify it and enter it a second time. Then you'll see a confirmation screen to say it's been set successfully. All right, and then we're going to set the master key. So we have the option here to restore from backup. So if you've already got a seed that you want to bring into Passport Prime, you could choose restore. If you're restoring from an existing Passport Prime, you can choose restore and it would ask you to tap the key cards. Again, hopefully I'm going to have enough time to do that on the stream and I'll show you that bit later on. But obviously for now, I need to set up in the first place. So create master key. It's going to tell you what I told you earlier, that that the master key protects all the money and all the personal data that's stored on Passport. So look after it. Just like on Passport Core, again, it uses multiple sources of on-device randomness as well as some software-based randomness to combine them all together to generate you a secure and random master key. Tap continue, and now it wants to create the magic backups that I spoke about earlier. So here's where the key cards come in. So I'm just going to move the phone out the way for a second just to make a bit of room because we don't need that right now. I'm going to tap continue. And again, it's just telling you what I told you earlier about the key cards. You can restore with 1 key card plus Envoy or 2 key cards. Again, this is in the Magic Backup setup. Offline users would have just 3 key cards and they would restore from any 2 of those. It tells you a little bit about the short-range nature of the NFC, which can trip some people up, especially if they've got a case on the device. We do sell these cases, and whilst it's great for protecting the device, sometimes it can be seen to hamper the NFC a little bit. So if you do have any issues, follow the advice on screen and make sure that the case is removed as well, because it does make tapping the NFC key cards a little bit easier. All right, so I've gone into the Magic Backup creation step. You can see that part 1, thanks to the Quantum Link Bluetooth connection, has already been sent over to Envoy. So the next step is that it wants me to tap one of the, or hold one of the key cards up to the back of the device. So what you want to do is hold it in a T shape like this. You'll see that it starts to save. Again, you'll see sometimes it can error out, but normally after the 1 or 2 tries, there you go. So it's stored 1 key card. Let me let that focus. There you go. So part 2 has been stored on the key card. Then I just need to go and grab another one of the key cards, sit the device on top, let it save, and there you go. It's stored part 3 onto the key card. So we've split the master key into 3 parts, 1 on Envoy and then 1 on these 2 key cards that you just see me tap. Tap continue. And then the next step is that it's going to automatically connect, again, thanks to the Quantum Link connection, the first Bitcoin or the primary Bitcoin account over to Envoy. I tap finish, everything loads, and there's our Passport Prime account. Envoy on the right takes you through a mini tutorial that basically says, oh, by the way, we've given you a free mobile hot wallet if you want to use that for smaller amounts of day-to-day spending. And here is your Passport Prime primary account for your offline storage. Passport Prime's loaded on the left. We've got the Bitcoin price loading there, and you can see all of the apps on screen. So after I finished doing the slides and I've talked you through all of that at a fairly leisurable pace, what have we done that in, 10, 15 minutes maximum? So it's a huge jump in terms of usability, and in terms of going from 0 to 1 and getting set up and backed up compared to what we had with something like Passport Core, which was a great product. The very nature of that Quantum Link connection and the liveness that it affords us, where you saw throughout both devices were perfectly in sync. I didn't have to worry about context switching and worrying about which action, where I needed to take the next action. Was it on, over here or was it over here? It's all perfectly in sync, and it just makes the whole onboarding process super easy.
It also, as you were doing it, I was thinking, because you're not writing down seed words or anything manually, for a lot of people who are newer and don't listen to shows like this or other similar shows or really into this kind of stuff, they probably just sit at a kitchen table or in their office with a webcam still on, or wherever it is, like around people or around devices that could potentially record. And with this, you don't have that issue because there's nothing physically written down.
Yeah, not only that, but you're absolutely right. But not only that, without even knowing it, they've also got redundancy as well, because it's in a 2 of 3 setup, right?
Yeah.
So whereas seed words are great, they're universal. I've always been a huge fan of them as a standard. On their own, they're a single point of failure, and if you don't know how to handle them properly, then you can get yourself in some sticky situations. But with that said, like, again, those of you that know what we're about, a foundation, you know that we're always abiding by standards. And there you go and grab your seed words from the settings in the device.
Yeah.
So if you want to do additional backups and stamp them into steel, be our guest.
Yeah, obviously some people will still do that. I'm just, the point is, this is going to be aimed at reaching more people, and those people I think are going to be, because I've done it before where I've onboarded people, and that is always the sticking point. It's like, okay, well, so I've got the thing on here and that's secure, but now I've got these words. You want me to put them in a safe, and you want me to put this extra passphrase on top, and it starts to get a little bit confusing and a little bit tricky, and they don't treat them in the way that I would treat them. So with having the cards and the backups, I would feel more secure, like getting my mum to do it, than I would with Passport Core.
Yeah.
Go on, Seth. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think the thing that was so exciting about this for me is, for too long, it's felt like actually doing cold storage right was really technical. Like even just the writing down the 12 seed words, but also making sure you have redundancy somehow, that you have protection against fire, that you have ways to ensure that your loved ones can recover it. Like, we had set the bar so high for cold storage that the average person just realistically was not going to do this. Like, the average person is not using the average person is fine with doing ledger recover, unfortunately. And it's because of the simplicity it provides, but that there are huge downsides to that approach. So the thing that's really beautiful to me here is this gives you the same type of redundancy as something like a ledger recover, but without trusting any external entity with your seed phrase. Ledger recover in theory is okay if no one collaborates, but they're business entities who are all under similar jurisdiction. So that was really problematic there. Whereas this brings just like the same user experience and the same redundancy, but with total self-sovereignty in your hands, because you have the two cards. Even if Foundation disappears tomorrow, you have the two cards and can recover at any time, which is just super, super important. Because like this stuff we need to be building for the 99%, not the 1%. Yeah. And yet, obviously, like you always do at Foundation, like do at Cake, like you also build in the advanced stuff for those who want to go that path. If you want to go stamp this into steel, you can do that. You can go see your seed words, you can stamp them into steel. If you don't want to use the cards at all, you can do that. If you do want to use Envoy and the cards, but you also want to use steel as an additional layer of redundancy, you can do that. And that user choice, that freedom, is just an absolutely huge part of this. And yet it's not forcing every user into a very technical, very complex, very confusing setup, which is just absolutely huge for self-sovereignty actually spreading and becoming more normal, and not just something that's kind of by nerds for nerds.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier around, there's going to be a leaning towards more advanced users on this stream. We're well aware of that. So I mentioned earlier around, if you are a manual user, or if you want to be a Magic backup user, but you also want to keep an offline copy of all of that settings and data, it's literally just head into this menu here and you just download that file. You can put a USB drive into there, plug it into your computer, whatever you want, pop that into there, and then just download that file and store it offline wherever you see fit. And I'm sure there'll be people on here that do something very similar with, various different important piece of information like the Nextcloud or whatever. It's the exact same thing. If you want to do that, again, go for it. It's very simple, and it will take you, a couple of minutes every couple of weeks or something like that, just to have that extra layer of protection, whilst still being able to leverage the automation of the cloud backups if you want to.
Yeah, one quick thing, sorry, too, that I was just thinking about, like you mentioned, the people listening to this are generally probably already going to be doing cold storage. They're going to be quite advanced. But thinking about this not just for you, but also like, where are you going to onboard friends and family? How are you going to get them to do cold storage? And I think it's been fascinating that for so long, I mean, you've been in tons of these conversations, Q, but like anyone you talk to in the Bitcoin space who's like actually working in the Bitcoin space, they're like, oh, I onboard my friends and family to Passport. And that was even before Prime. Like that was even just Passport Core, the simplicity and user experience before this whole next level. People were like, oh, that's by far the easiest one for someone who's not a technical hardcore Bitcoiner. That's where I'm onboarding friends and family. This is the next step of that. And I think that's something really important to keep in mind as you check out new pieces of Freedom Tech, not thinking just, will this be the perfect fit for me? But also, what does this bring in terms of how can I onboard people to this who I love and who I care about and who I want to make sure actually get self-sovereignty? And that's one of the biggest things, again, for me, is like, this is far better even than Ledger, in my opinion, in many ways, in terms of user experience and only getting started. And is something that we can actually onboard people too who are, again, not super tech savvy, not super advanced, not deeply technical Bitcoiners, but they can get started with this with just a smartphone and following the directions on the screen. No like hour-and-a-half tutorial or BTC sessions playlist or something like that to be able to figure out how to do this. It's straightforward.
Yeah.
All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come into some of the apps. The point here isn't to give you a lowdown of how to use the apps. That feels like a whole show in itself because there's so much to show. I'm just going to make some dummy data here. So I'm just going to add a new security key. I'm just going to call it test, make it yellow, save it as if, I'm actually going to use that to go and secure my, I don't know, Google account or something like that. And then I'm also going to generate a new child seed using BIP85. Again, let's just call it max. Save that. So I've got some dummy data in there now. The reason that I'm doing that is so that we can demonstrate how easy it is to recover all this additional stuff, as well as all of the important stuff like your master key that controls your Bitcoin as well. So I've got a child seed in there. I've just created a security key. I'm just going to make sure that we run, an additional backup. So I'm going to press backup now. Again, that's sending all that encrypted data over Quantum Link, which is going to Envoy. There you go. And then from Envoy, it's sending that encrypted data up to the Foundation server to be backed up alongside that cryptographic hash. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go to erase the device. So settings, advanced, and erase. I understand that I'm going to erase it. Yep. No, I don't want to make an offline backup. Erase. So I'm mimicking the fact that I've just broke this passport and I've had to buy a new one, or I've lost my existing one, or my kids stood on it, or whatever. Making a recovery scenario where I've had to buy a new Passport Prime, and all I have is Envoy and these two key cards. So what I'm going to do is just unpair from Envoy. All right, so we're in the kind of empty state again. So I've recovered psychologically from my prized possession, my Passport Prime being destroyed. I've got myself another one, and I'm going to show you the recovery process now. So again, very simple. Tap continue, and then open the setup page on Envoy. Scan the QR code. I am going to whiz through this because it is a repeat of what I did before. And obviously I'll slow down when I get to the recovery step. So we're setting up the Quantum Link connection again with the new Passport Prime that I want to recover onto. Scanning the QR codes. There we go. Connection is established. Checking the device security. There's going to be no updates available. Continue. I'm going to create a new pin on my new device. All right, so here's where we differ. We're going to choose restore from backup. You can see 4 options here. Well, technically 3. The migrate from Passport Core you'll see is grayed out. That's coming in a subsequent release. To be clear, what that one's going to enable you to do is restore from the encrypted backup. So if you're a Passport Core user, you'll know that you have an encrypted SD card and a 20-digit backup code, or you might even have a 6-word backup phrase if you're a real OG. You'll soon be able to import that backup to populate your new Passport Prime if you do want to migrate. On the top, we have the more traditional Bitcoin-centric backup methods of seed QR and entering your plain old 12 or 24-word seed. But what we're going to do here is restore from keycards, because this is the whole point of Magic Backups. So I've just moved the phone out of the way because there's not really anything to see on there. It's just waiting for me to take action on Passport Prime. And Passport Prime wants me to hold a keycard to Passport. So I'm just going to grab one of the keycards that I used earlier, tap it to the back of Passport Prime. And then that happened super quick. I wish I could slow that down. But what happened there was it read from one keycard. it recognized that that key card was part of a magic backup set. And there you go. Part 2 has been automatically restored from my Envoy. And the master key, because we've got 2 of those 3 parts, the master key has been fully restored. And I'm ready to continue with the rest of the setup process, which is essentially done. If I tap on finish.
Can I just jump in with a weird
Absolutely.
question?
Go ahead.
You know, you said there was 3 different cards that you could use and then not have the recovery with Foundation, or not have that saved separately. So you just have 3 cards. Could you do a mix of both where you're still having the backup, but you also have 3 cards, so you have extra redundancy in case 2 somehow get lost, you still use the other one? Or do you just leave that in the box and do nothing with it?
Yes, you can, but it's a little bit of a bit antiquated with the current setup. With one of the subsequent releases where I mentioned about being able to quickly switch between magic backups and non-magic backups, so online and offline, so to speak, then it will become much easier. And yes, we're going to be selling packs of the cards as well, so you can you'll be essentially, short answer is yes, you'll soon be able to do that in a much easier way than you can right now.
I don't think it's necessary, like especially if you can write down and stamp your seed anyway, and you can do encrypted backups, and you have this magic backup. Like, you got to work quite hard to fuck that up. But it's just one of those things that went through my head.
Exactly. So there you go. Look, there's the dummy data in the security keys app that I made earlier. And if I go to the Vault app, we'll see Max's seed. There you go. Job done. So again, you saw the whole. All I did was go through the normal onboarding process, and instead of tapping new master key, I tapped recover. I presented Passport Prime with one of these, and it literally did everything else for me automatically. And the recovery process was less than 5 minutes, start to finish. And again, that's with me talking over the top, showing you, or kind of explaining things as we go along. So huge improvement in terms of speed. But alongside the speed, we're also securing much more data as well. So it's huge. I'm just very proud of the team. And I've said it as a bit of a cliche on a couple of streams now, and it's normally said in relation to AI, which I know we use a fair bit on the show. This is literally the worst this device is ever going to be right now, and it's already brilliant. We are already speaking to multiple teams in and around personal security, Bitcoin, crypto, to build their own apps for the device. Obviously, Seth and the team at Cake are one of the first, hopefully, that are going to be across the line. So what this device can do right now with those 5 apps that you can see is essentially the bare essentials. It's the tip of the iceberg. The team at Foundation are brilliant. Obviously, I'm biased, but we are no longer the gating factor for what our hardware can do, which is a wild place to be, basically. So what this device can do in terms of potential use cases is only limited by the mind share of willing devs that want to get a device. And if you have an idea, please do get in touch. We'd love to send you a developer device so you can build on it. So we're going to be able to share our developer kit to those interested over the course of the next couple of weeks. We're already in talks with many teams. Ken and Owen from the team were at one of the conferences, developer-based conferences in New York yesterday or the day before. And Ken did a presentation to all the developers, and there's some very excited people, prominent people, I won't name names, who've gone away with developer units that are very excited to build stuff for this device. So I am very, very excited to see what this device is capable of in another 12 months time, because there's a lot of very clever people that have now got their hands on one with the know-how to do very cool shit.
Was it 1,000 you sent out? It was some massive number I saw.
Well, Zach's earmarked up to 1,000 to be sent out to developers. We haven't, to be clear, we haven't given away 1,000 already.
I was going to say, it's massive amount.
Yeah. No, there was just I think 20 or 30 given away at the conference yesterday to developers.
Yeah.
We're already in talks with some teams who've already got theirs, and yeah, it's growing by the day. We've got if you have an idea, please do get in touch, and we'd love to hear what your idea is and help you build.
Well, I was first thinking, because I saw that number and I was like, 1,000. There's barely 1,000 of us fucking weirdos on Twitter lurking around who are interested in Bitcoin. And then I was like, but this isn't just for Bitcoin, is it? This does
Exactly.
so much more. So the amount of teams that can get their hands on it and start working on it is huge.
Yeah. The SDK is already in internal testing. Some of the guys are playing around using the tool to kind of build some of the scratch their own itches and stuff, and it's already semi-functional, so it's going to be ready to share publicly with developers in the coming 1 to 2 weeks. And just again, very, very excited to see what it can bring. So we've still got a bit of time, so if anybody has any questions, or if you guys have anything you'd want to see while we bring towards a close for the next 5-6 minutes.
Vibrant has a question.
Go on.
How's the Monero/Cake app coming along? Is that something we can expect in the coming months, Seth?
No pressure.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm hoping we can start work on that in the next couple of weeks. It's hard to say exactly how long that's going to take until we get into it, but we do have dev units, like unprovisioned dev units, in hand now. We got those in I guess we got them distributed to the team in can a couple weeks ago. So we have those all throughout the team now, and we'll start working on it very soon. So hopefully starting like first or second week of May at the latest. And aiming to get something out this summer, but we'll definitely have more out on that and share more progress as we actually kickstart the implementation. That will start with just Monero, as I mentioned before, and then we'll branch out to other cryptocurrencies after that.
Nice. Q, can you leak any? I assume you can't, but any sort of apps that might be coming at some point soon, maybe or maybe not. That
the only two I can talk about are the ones that are on the website, which is obviously Cake, and then the guys from Lygos, which is a Bitcoin DLC based lending tool, self-custody lending tool. Those are the only two that I'm able to speak publicly about, and I think if I'm honest, I think the Lygos team are probably further along than Cake, so that they may actually pip Cake to the post in terms of being the first one. I say that partially tongue in cheek to dangle a carrot in front of Seth a little bit.
I see you pushing me. I see. Respect.
But there's those are the only two I can talk about publicly for now. But especially after yesterday's developer conference, there's some exciting use cases. I hate to be that guy that's kind of like, oh, you'll have to wait and see. Guy. But unfortunately, you will have to wait and see.
Seeing as no one else has any questions at the moment in the chat, can I ask you to go in a little bit more on the Vault and the 2FA stuff? Because I remember when we were first talking about all this stuff, all the changes, and I was asking you about whether you could use the Vault to do something clever with inheritance, where you could have like instructions or wills or things that could be accessed on device that would only be accessed once the keys were handed out. Any thoughts on that and like how this works?
So with inheritance, there's a couple of ways you could do it. The most obvious one that's kind of tied to what you just said in terms of like an inheritance file would be to use the Files app, which is exactly as it says on the tin, really. It's an encrypted files app. Obviously, I've just set this device up, so there's no files on the internal storage. I haven't added anything to it. But again, you can look at this from a files perspective as an encrypted flash drive. So if you know the PIN, you can access the files within. So you could leave instance documents, a Word file or text file within the Files app, knowing that it's powered or secured by the encryption on the device. And you would need to either, if it's kept in a, in a state like you see right now where it's kind of provisioned and set up, then you'd need the PIN to log in to be able to access those files. Or you could, if you wanted to leave it in a wiped state, then if you've got two kids, a son and a daughter, they would need to bring together their two cards to restore a Passport Prime and then be able to access the associated metadata and the files that would be stored within. One limitation I should spell out with that at the moment is that the only exception for what's not included in the encrypted backup data, the settings and data backup, is the file contents. The reason for that is you can store up to 50 gigabytes worth of data. So obviously that's quite a lot of stuff. And if you've got big files, sending that over Bluetooth in an encrypted fashion to Envoy and then up to the cloud server might be problematic. If it's small stuff, obviously it's not an issue. So what we have planned with that, go on.
Sorry, mate. You're probably going to say this. That was probably what you have planned. But I was just wondering, so if you had the files, could you then put in a USB stick with like a micro SD card or something and do like an encrypted backup of the files on a micro SD card that you could keep in a couple of locations so that someone could then access them? Because really what I'm getting at is, like, you could write out a will and a load of information that's deeply personal and bad in the wrong hands. And traditionally someone might leave that with a lawyer or something like that. But my thinking is with something like this, they have whatever Bitcoin or cryptocurrency you have on here and all the information of what you'd like them to do or any other information you might put on there. And then if anyone gets their hands on it, it's useless to them because they don't have the PIN or they don't have the two cards, etc. So it just seems to me like if you could do that and do the backups, or presumably just have two devices, like twin devices.
Yeah, all of that's easily possible. But again, it feels like there is a specific app there that could be built, catered towards exactly that use case. That's the beauty of this whole architecture. And the light bulb moment that when people get it is that rather than trying to make what you see fit your use case, make the specific tool for that use case and leverage the hardware and the encryption and the secure element and the connectivity and stuff. Like, again, it's a bit of a paradigm shift in how you think about how to use the device. You're no longer have to fit within the guardrails of, okay, this device does X, Y, and Z. It's a case of this device, this functionality, these are the hardware limitations and these are the connectivity limitations, which, by the way, you can see them all there. But like the software is essentially open. You can build whatever you want to leverage the connectivity and the hardware in very different ways. So again, you listening to this are the limitation. Just use your imagination and the SDK. And it's especially with vibe coding these days, like it is the barrier to entry has been significantly lowered with a combination of both of those things. A quick note on apps distribution and things like that. So the default way in which most people will obtain their apps for Passport Prime will be via an app store, which will live inside our app, the Envoy app. Obviously, to be listed in there, you need to meet certain criteria, i.e. open source, reproducible, and that you're not a scammer. So yes, we are going to check the apps. However, we recognize that if that was the only method, that is a walled garden. So you will be able to sideload essentially app files, or like, I don't know what the file format is, if I'm being honest, but it will be like an APK on Android, that sort of thing, where you would just, plug in a USB drive or an SD card or wherever you've got the file from the developer, and load it onto the app. I'm sure there'll be some warnings to say, obviously you're trusting the developer, make sure you know what this is doing. But yeah, we will not be a gatekeeper here. Like if you want to go out into the Wild West and install apps that you vibe coded yourself that have not been vetted, or that your friends have vibe coded, go for it. Like, be our guest. All that to say, as dangerous as that sounds, and obviously it does come with slightly more risk, the whole point of KeyOS and the operating system that we've built from scratch, that is what you see on screen, is the app isolation and the sandboxing. So just because you throw a malicious app onto there doesn't mean it's going to be able to extract the master key from there. So we do have some obviously sane protections to protect secrets and to gate what apps or how apps can communicate with other apps and the hardware and the secrets held on the device as well. So true to foundation style, it is choose your own journey, but we will give you some, guardrails. But if you want to go outside the guardrails, go for it.
Nice.
All right. I, as always, have a hard stop. We've got a nice another project on the go at Foundation. So I've got a call to do with that in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to have to wrap us up here, guys. Is there any last comments from you guys?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered everything. Only that it's cool seeing the Bitcoin price go up. I was
just about to say, yeah, we'll have to do this more often if we can get a 2% bump every Friday.
I know. We'll be at $1 million in no time.
Oh, yeah.
I do plan to do more of these because obviously I haven't gone into the Bitcoin app. I haven't gone into any of the other apps to do any showcasing. So it feels like there's definitely more to showcase there. And that will become even more important as we increase the functionality with subsequent releases as well. So
yeah, good to remind people where you're doing your open hours, what time, etc. Just so they can join if they want to dive deeper.
Head to foundation.xyz/primetime. And you'll see all the information. You can sign up there and it will give you all of the relevant sign up information. But they're happening every Tuesday at midday Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time for the next 4 weeks, with the exception of whenever the Vegas conference is, because I'll be in Vegas.
Very nice.
Sweet.
Thanks.
All right. My pleasure. Thanks for letting me do some showcasing. And yeah, we'll be back with more goodness, same time next week. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Freedom Tech Friday. To everyone who boosted, asked questions, and participated in the show, we appreciate you all. Make sure to join us next week on Friday at 9 a.m. EST and 2 p.m. London. Thanks to Seth, Max, and Q for keeping it ungovernable. And thank you to Cake Wallet, Foundation, and my NIM box for keeping the ungovernable misfits going. Make sure to check out ungovernablemisfits.com to see Mr. Crown's incredible skills and artwork. Listen to the other shows in the feed to hear Kareem's world-class editing skills. Thanks to Expatriotic for keeping us up to date with boosts, XMR chats, and sending in topics. John, great name and great guy, never change and never stop keeping us up to date with mining news or continuing to grow the Meshtadel. Finally, a big thanks to the unsung hero, our Canadian overlord, Jordan, for trying to keep the ungovernable in check and for the endless work he puts in behind the scenes. We love you all. Stay ungovernable.